So we are so excited to share Accordionly, Abuelo and Opa Make music with you today. My name is Michael Genhart, and I'm the author of Accordionly, and I'm joined by Priscilla Burris, who is the illustrator. Briefly, I want to tell you about my background. I grew up in Southern California, one of 7 kids. That's a big family. I have 2 older brothers, an older sister, a twin sister, and 2 younger sisters. When I was a little boy, I loved reading books. You always saw me with a book. So, funny enough, I grew up and started writing books for kids. Anyway, I went to college in San Diego, then I went to graduate school back east, and now I write books for kids, as I mentioned. But I also work as a psychologist. And that's really a doctor who helps kids and adults with their feelings. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I've been married to my husband, John, for over 30 years. We have a daughter together. We adopted her at birth, and she's now 24, and she's a teacher. She teaches 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders marine science. She always loved water, and she's spending her career now in water. Well, and on land, teaching kids. And I love music. I love gardening. I love traveling. I love photography. And I love parties with families, with my family and friends. And I love being creative. So funny enough, I landed in this very creative space writing books for kids. So, Priscilla, do you want to go first with your introduction?
Yeah, hi, I'm Priscilla Burris, and I'm super happy to be here with Michael in celebration of our new picture book, Accordionly. That's such a fun word to say, accordionly. And it having to do with accordions, and I have some special memories when I saw the story for this book. First, Michael wrote the book, and then the publisher had to find an illustrator, and that was happily me, and I'm thankful for that. So my part of this adventure, pausing, is to be able to illustrate, draw pictures to go along with Michael's story. So I'm an author, illustrator, and I love my job. I love illustrating picture books. So
I feel so fortunate to be able to work with Priscilla, who you will see in a few minutes how super talented she is and how she made this book really so much fun, and she really pulled it together with her beautiful drawings.
I wanted our viewers to realize that there's a very special connection with an author and an illustrator of a picture book. This is an unusual opportunity, and it's very fun for both of us to see each other, to meet each other this way, because typically for children's books, authors and illustrators don't ever get to talk to each other or even meet. So this is a very special moment, very special to learn about each other. And yeah. I wanted to share that myself, I'm a Mexican-American, and I have accordions in my background in the sense, so I was very happy to see this manuscript, this story, and to be able to illustrate it because it brought back lots of good memories of my own father. He was born in Mexico, came here as a little boy, and playing the accordion, but just for fun, not professional like you see in the book, but just for fun. I remember hearing the beautiful sound, and that's one of my favorite instruments is the accordion. It always has been. And I have an old picture of my son when he was probably a young teen holding his grandfather's accordion. At that point, the grandkids just enjoyed playing with it. So I have... I'm Mexican-American. I'm married to my husband, who is for 39 years. He's of English, Scottish, German, and Irish descent. So our 3 children enjoy multicultural life and growing up together. They're all grown now in their 30s, and they have enjoyed all the different things you see in the book. It was very special to be able to illustrate this book with all those memories that I bring to it. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity. And boy, I had fun listening to accordion music while I worked on this book.
Here is really the reason why I wrote Accordionly, what's called your inspiration. My father played the accordion. He learned to play as a boy. And when I was growing up, he played all the time. And I was just fascinated by this instrument. It's such a funny instrument. How it looked, how it sounds, the keyboard, the buttons, all those buttons. Like, how do you know which buttons to push? And the bellows. The bellows are the part of the instrument that goes in and out, or expands and contracts. And the accordion actually is also called a squeeze box. Isn't that funny? Because the sound it makes comes from, oh, look, I'm wearing my accordion shirt. You can't see it. This is the bellow. Keyboard, buttons. Anyway, the sound it makes comes from the expansion of the accordion. It fills with air. And then the contraction where you squeeze it. And when you squeeze it, air gets forced out through reeds within, or through holes. And then the air gets passed through reeds within the accordion. And that's what makes the sounds, depending on what buttons and what keys are pressed at the time. So it's called a squeeze box as well. The accordion is a very popular instrument in different cultures. The earliest accordions go all the way back to ancient China and Greece, in Egypt. They didn't quite look like what we see today, but that's how far back they go. And then the modern accordion was developed in Europe, and Europeans brought the accordion, the ones that we see today, to America. And the accordion became very popular in different parts of America. In the Midwest, where there's a large German population, so a lot of polka music played there. And then in French Louisiana, you get Cajun and Zydeco music playing the accordion. And then in Texas, in a lot of Mexican border towns, where you hear the accordion played in those towns, more ranchera music. So it's in lots of different places in the country, and I love that. So my father, back to the inspiration, is a first-generation Swiss American. So that means his parents were both born in Switzerland. They came here. He was born here. So he's a first-generation Swiss American. And my mother is a second-generation Mexican American. And the accordion is a very popular instrument in both those cultures, in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, and in Mexico. And so when my grandparents would all come together, family gatherings, they spoke different languages. My father's parents spoke Swiss German and French and Romansh, which is a Swiss dialect. And my mother's parents spoke Spanish. And so they spoke to each other very little English. And they were very pleasant to one another, very nice people. But they couldn't have a lot of conversations between them. But then my father would bring out the accordion, and the place would light up because, again, it was an instrument everyone was familiar with. And so when he played, it was just so much fun because the house lit up, there was dancing and singing. My father's father would yodel loudly, which was super fun and a little scary as a little boy because it's loud and it's an unusual sound. And and my mother's father would shout out. They're called gritos in Spanish. They're just hollers. They're fun hollers. When you get excited hearing music, you sort of shout out with excitement. Anyway, that's the story I wanted to tell, a story of connectedness, right, in a family coming together through music. So that was my inspiration. And I'm sure some of you actually come from families with more than one culture. I bet there are some of you who live in households where more than one language is spoken, right? And I'm hoping that many of you like music, play an instrument, and maybe some of you even play the accordion. How about that? Wouldn't that be fun?
All right. I'd love to share a little bit about my inspiration as the illustrator. An illustrator reading the words for a story. It's real important for me to read it over and over again before I even start drawing any pictures, because pictures start coming into my mind. And what in this story, Accordionly, there's a little boy with his grandparents, and I wanted to think about what should this little boy look like and what should his grandparents look like. All that I have to think about and do a lot of research too. While I know very personally about the Mexican-American side of life and different festivities that are mentioned in the book, some of the other Opa's side of the family in the book, I did a little bit of research with that, and that was a lot of fun. Not only listening to music while I was illustrating and starting to sketch, I listened to mariachi bands and polka bands, and boy, I had a lot of fun. I was kind of dancing around on my chair while I was illustrating, and boy, that's happy music. Accordion is really lively and fun. And so after we're all finished here, maybe some of you want to go and look up some accordion music. Polka bands and mariachi bands, they're amazing. I've been in a Mexican restaurant where mariachi started playing, and boy, that just livens the whole room. So with all that in mind, I not only enjoyed the music, but Michael's mention in the book about going to his Opa's home and having that special treat. And I think I'm going to ask Michael to pronounce correctly how to say that special treat. It starts with an L.
My grandmother would make lechuken, which is a gingerbread. It's kind of a dense bread that you dip in hot chocolate or coffee, and it's super yummy. It tastes like gingerbread, like what we know today as gingerbread.
Thank you. That's interesting, because I looked it up, and of course, as an illustrator, part of the fun is research, because we want to draw pictures for the book and the story that are true to the story and not make up something out of the blue, which wouldn't make any sense. So one of the things I did for this book was look up that treat that he's talked about. It tastes like gingerbread. I had heard about it, but I don't remember if I had ever tasted it. And about how drawings and words come together in the making of a book. In this picture here, this is a good example from Accordionly. First, the words come, of course, of the story, and then the illustration needs to show what the story's talking about, of course, to make sense for anyone who's reading our book. But for an illustrator, I need to come up with an idea for the picture. What do I show? And it should show what the words are saying, but go beyond that. And by that, if you see this in this example of this picture, we call a spread because it's 2 pages together, is the grandfathers and the little boy enjoying the day together. Everything they're doing is really fun and wonderful, but I wanted to show that he's noticing they're being quiet. It is in silence, but there's no sad parts about it. It's all good. It's all fun, enjoyable stuff together, but it's quiet. And silence, that's a good word. And this is a good example of drawing pictures to go along with the words, but also what more can I show? What more can I show so that the characters are really showing you how they feel, and also how maybe it's what's going on in the picture, what's going on in their life, or this part of the story. And I wanted to talk about expressions just briefly. That's one of my most favorite things to draw is expressions, both in the face and in the body. But on this page, I was hoping you'd be able to look and find some very small changes. It could be the eyebrow, the mouth. In this part of the book, Abuelo and Opa are a little bit frustrated and kind of maybe grumbling a little bit. And so the last drawings of them on this picture you're looking at is what's in the book. But I changed some of the expressions, and see if you can spot the changes. They're small, but even if you go look in the mirror and check out how different we might look when our eyebrows are higher or they're down further, it's kind of fun to experiment with your own facial expression. So one little secret, big secret, fun secret is, and my children will attest to this, growing up watching me illustrate, they could tell expression that I was illustrating because that's what was on my face. Because I don't even realize I still do that. If I'm drawing somebody sad, I'm like, well, I'm drawing, or if they're mad, it's like, so it's kind of funny. I'm sure most people do that, but I just think that's kind of funny.
Do you think are you feeling the feeling that you're drawing?
Yes, that's probably what it is. My son walked by once and said, you're doing that again. So I had an expression of who knows what, probably, or so. And then let's look at body language. Body language is another way to show expression. All of us do it every day. We see people doing this and we don't think about it, but it's just who we are as human beings. And this page, you'll see that I called it Illustrating Body Language. So I found different parts of the book in Accordionly where the little boy has different feelings. And so I wanted to show the different ways that I was able to, and I worked to show his feelings through his body and what his body was doing. It's sometimes you see it on the face, but I like to try to even draw from behind. Like you see the upper left picture where he's holding the ball. If you look on that part of the story, you will find out why he's looking that way. Does he look happy from what you're seeing, or does he look thoughtful? Does he look sad? He's just standing there, but he does have feelings. So that's why I included this part, that picture, because it's kind of from behind a little bit. So and then I ask a question, what is your body language right now? That's kind of fun. Sometimes you could be just arms are crossed and you feel like, or you feel fine, or you feel tired or sleepy. So it's kind of fun to look around and say, what is that body language telling me? Oh, that person must be tired. So body language is another way to show expression. And that's something, that last spread. Okay. I just want to touch base on the process of developing illustrations. You can just see on this page, just like I talked about earlier, I start with a rough sketch, clean it up, and then I finish up the artwork. In between these three pictures you see here on this page, it has gone back and forth to the publisher with the editor and the art director, back and forth many times. So what I'm showing here is just kind of a good feeling about understanding this is a part of the process. On every book you read, it's gone through a process like this. So there's a lot of work, a lot of people involved, a lot of time involved. And then I mentioned there about the gutter. There's different things we talk about in books. And an illustrator has to be sure not to put somebody's face in the middle of where the drawing goes, because that will be in the fold of the book, which is the gutter. So that's just another example of part of the process of making this book. You know what? All kids, parents, whoever, grandparents, whoever's home with you, go grab your pencils, pens, sketch pads, iPads, paper, whatever you want to draw on, because I put together this little video and I'd love for you to be drawing along while I draw and sketch and doodle and just come up with some characters. And I'm just happy to show you some of the process of sketching and changing and making changes and how I kind of work. A little bit of glimpse of how I work.
Hi, I'm Priscilla Burris, the illustrator for Accordionly, a new picture book coming out in a few days. Today I'd like to show you a little bit of sketching and some fun changes I'm going to make in the main character, little boy, from this book. Here is a sketch of the little boy, similar to what's on the cover, except with his arms in a different direction. And what I've done is I've already added on the same little boy, but I'm going to make some changes. I work digitally with the stylus, and this is what I work with as if it were my pencil or my paintbrush. So first of all, what I'd like to do is change his body language, change what he's doing with every image of him. So what I've done is I've roughed up some ideas I had, and what I do here is I grab a very wide brush. I love using many different types of brushes. So what I will do is use a very wide brush, very low color, just like you see there. And I've done this with these 3 little characters here. Same little character, but different poses. Now what I'd like to do is, this is my idea. I think what I'll do is I gave each of them an accordion to wear on their t-shirt. It's the same boy, but different poses. So here we go. I just want to show you, grab another brush, and I'm going to show you how I will draw his body language changing from just standing still or having the same expression. So on the second boy right here, second one, I'm going to make his mouth kind of, whoops, wrong color. Did you know that illustrators make mistakes all the time? We're always making mistakes, and we have to correct them. It's part of our job, and it's okay. It's part of what we do. It's part of the process. So now I've got it right. Here we go. So I'm going to make his, whoops. All right, so I'm going to make his t-shirt here. This is going to be kind of sketchy, so forgive my little bit of messiness here. Messiness is kind of fun though. So here, whoops, that thumb looks too big. Oh, okay, let's make him a smaller thumb. There we go. All right, so he's just having a different expression than he does in the first character. I made his mouth, I gave that rough idea of a kind of like, what's going on here? It's fun to do different expressions that aren't just your typical sad, happy. I like to come up with different expressions. One of my favorite things to do is expressions on characters, body language, or in the face, or even from behind. Now to the second character, I'm going to have him hollering, whoops, another mistake, that's okay. And he's got kind of missing a tooth there. All right, now here I put his hands, because he's hollering to somebody, probably his friend next door. Come on over, let's have some fun. Let's play together. Something that we'll all be able to do. Whoops, that arm looks too big, doesn't it? Let's make that arm a little smaller. So let's say I make the arm really big and weird like that. What I can do is go back and I circle that little arm part and I change it. Make it thinner. Not quite perfect, but that's okay. None of us are perfect. We just keep trying to make it work. Let's just say that's fine there. And I'm moving on to his feet. Now I've made his legs, instead of standing still, I want him to be running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase. I'm going to take away. Let me erase. I'll get the eraser. I'm going to take away his legs and his shorts. Here we go. I'm erasing. And Here we go. And I'm going to have him running. Maybe he's calling his friend over to come on and play, or you want to play catch, or you want to play chase the ball or chase the squirrel, whatever. And here he goes. Now, when I do a character in a book, one important part is to keep him consistent throughout the book. He has to look the same throughout the book. He cannot change and look very different. For example, if you look at any book that you like, check out the characters. They have to look alike throughout the whole book. If they change to a very different character, it won't make sense. Illustrators work hard to make that happen. We want to be very careful that we keep the characters looking the same throughout the whole book. Now that shoe is not perfect, but again, it's okay. This last character, I'm going to have him kind of wondering about what's going on over there. Or what other expression does it look like? He could be thinking, no, I'm not sure about that. There. Have you ever made that expression? And then I have him actually here tapping his foot. He's probably impatient about something that's going on that he's not unhappy, but he's wondering. These are my impatient lines here. All right, so let's get rid of, I'm going to erase all. I'm going to make the eraser really big because we're going to get rid of the rough part. I call this a rough part behind. It just gives me an idea. It's like a rough draft. There, I'm going to erase all that. Oh, he has too many legs. Let me take away this leg only, because he should have the other leg, don't you think? There we go. Oops, I forgot that one part on his mouth. Oh, and you know what else? Here's one last thing, little thing I want to show you. This boy here, if we get really close to his mouth, you can see where the line is showing. That shouldn't be there. So I'm going to make the eraser smaller, and we're going to come in here and we're going to erase this line that's underneath his hand, because you shouldn't be able to see that. So there's a lot of mistakes made when you're an illustrator, and there's a lot of changes that we have to make. So if you can see here, he's standing like just wondering with his arms out, happy. Second time we see the boy, he's wondering maybe. Third time he's yelling and running. And the fourth time he's kind of just has his hands on his hips and tapping his shoe, so he's impatient about something. One last thing I'll do here is I'm going to just have a little bit of fun with, pick a color, any color, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of painting. So I'm going to draw or paint the accordion here. I can go out of the lines, that's okay. Gosh, I love accordions. They make the happiest music. Then let's change this, let's give him a different color on each shirt. Different accordion on each shirt. Green. What's your favorite color? Green is fun. Oh, I love orange. Let's find orange. A higher, bright orange. Who likes orange? I love orange. Okay, so he's got an orange accordion there. And let's just do a red one over here. Why not, right? Red is fun. So here's what I do. Once I do the colors, I'll go in and erase all the parts that aren't needed. There's a lot of ways we can do this when we work digitally, but I like doing this. It's just comfortable. Using an eraser, just like I would if I was doing it on paper, and erase some colors or erase some parts, and that's okay. Then I use a little hand tool and I move over, and you see what I'm doing. Another way I can do it is use a little tool that's called a lasso tool, and I circle it and I cut it out. But again, like I said, I like using the eraser, so I'll just do it very quickly here, and then run over here. Look at these two accordions, aren't they pretty? I hope you're enjoying this, and I hope you get to hear an accordion music. Mariachis, or polka bands have wonderful, happy, lively, and fun accordion music, and I sure hope you get to enjoy our new picture book, Accordionly. And I hope you've enjoyed this. My name is Priscilla Burris. I'm happy to be the illustrator for Accordionly, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
So all of us are spending a lot of stay-at-home time, and we understand why, right? For good reason. It's about safety and health. But I imagine that many of you are feeling restless at home. And so we had some ideas about how to make staying at home more fun. And perhaps several of you have discovered these things already, and you're doing a lot of them with your siblings and your parents, and I hope so. And in case you're running out of ideas, we added a few, and we'd like to share, starting with, how about that, playing music? Maybe there's an instrument you play or you wanted to learn how to play. Wouldn't this be a great time to learn an instrument? We're just listening to music, your favorite songs. Maybe you want to write a song, right? Maybe throw a dance party with your friends on Zoom or something. There's lots of ways of spending time together as a family. I know there are a lot of working moms and dads who are trying to juggle their jobs at home as well as be home with their kids. So carving out some family time is great, but there's a balance, right, going on between work and play. And of course, kids are in school, but in a very different way from home. Anyway, family time can involve board games, and maybe you have an indoor picnic. That's unusual, right? Play hide and seek. I know some families are doing movie night with, grandma and grandpa. Again, that's through technology. Priscilla, I don't know if you want to talk about maybe some art ideas.
Oh, gosh. Oh, you know what? Okay, let me show you. You see this little guy right here? This is our little guy from Accordionly. What did I do? Well, I made a copy and I cut out him. Then I take him outside. He can go in the garden. He can play in the backyard. He can come inside, have a drink of milk or Kool-Aid. That's my childhood. A drink of juice, or he can just come along. And I don't mean he's actually going to drink the juice. But you know what? Draw up some sketches, and it could be anything, a bird, a frog, a bug, whatever you like. Cut them out, take them around and take pictures of them with your phone, in the backyard, in your room, around in the hallway. Maybe your characters can play with each other. They can play a game together. This is just kind of a fun idea for if you want to draw, sketch, stick figures, work, anything. Just cut them out. It's kind of fun to do that and create a whole little world for them.
So we just want to thank you so much for giving us this time to share Accordionly, Abuelo and Opa Make music with you. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed it. We have especially liked sharing with you how a book comes together, right? And having an author and an illustrator in conversation sort of bring to life, hopefully for you, how a book comes to be out in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to us share, and also for looking into reading Accordionly. I hope you enjoy some accordion music and get up and do a polka dance or some get up and dance with the music. I know I do. So we just hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, thank you for listening, and enjoy your family. Enjoy being together. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.